Hi Capricorn, welcome, thanks for joining me. Also welcome cross watchers, welcome to your love reading, okay? So what love messages want to come out for Capricorn? Love messages for Capricorn, what do we need to know for Capricorn? Love messages for Capricorn, what do we need to know for Capricorn? Okay. Page of Pentacles. Okay. Four of Pentacles. Maybe someone's worried about finances here. Yeah, or the economy, stability, you know. Maybe you're in a comfort zone and you don't know how to come out of it, or who you're dealing with. Yeah, I do feel maybe some of you are feeling trapped. You don't like to be tied down, trapped. You know, you like to go traveling. You know, if you've got, say if you've been offered a career opportunity, you know, like a door of opportunity, and it's abroad or it's overseas, you would normally just, you know, get on a plane, get on a train, you go traveling for work projects, but this time you can't do that, you know. So at the moment it's just making the best of what you've got, you know, and someone here feels fed up. Yeah, someone's fed up. I think we all are, actually. I definitely feel that you've been offered a new opportunity, or maybe after this lockdown's been lifted, you could have been offered a new opportunity, something to do with work, career prospects, career ladders, door of opportunity, you know, to better suit your finances, something to do with finances, maybe an earth sign might wants to collaborate, go into business, invest. So you've got Aquarius energy, yeah, so you're definitely dealing with an earth sign or a fellow fire sign. Okay. Tell me more about this Ace of Pentacles. Someone here definitely want a new start here. You know, maybe somebody's offering you stability, some sort of commitment, something to do with money, gain, profit. Or you yourself want to have a new start, embrace something, a new start, go traveling. But you have to wait for something to be lifted, such as a restriction, yeah? Maybe you miss being in power, maybe you're in charge of your own business, you know? Yeah, there's definitely something or someone coming towards you. Something to do with finances here. Eight of Wands. There's some sort of news coming in, and it's going to involve you travelling. Someone's going travelling on holiday. Some sort of prospect, some sort of opportunity is being presented, some sort of proposal, something to do with finances. Could be an earth sign, yeah, but you're definitely going to get some sort of news coming in, some sort of communication, and someone here is going to be taking a leap of faith. Okay, tell me about this Eight of Wands and this Ace of Pentacles. Definitely being presented here with some sort of opportunity, some sort of luck, some sort of abundance. Could be financial windfall coming back in from the universe, you know. You know, because Pentacles are always about, they're about profit, gain, stability, feeling grounded, feeling centered, you know. Also I see these as opportunity, you know, opportunity to do with finances, career, you know, some sort of proposal, some sort of offer coming in, good news about money or a job, you know. If you're worried about the economy, okay. Any more messages, please? You could be coming up with creative ideas to accommodate to your circumstances at the moment, you know, finances, money, you know, you could be coming up with creative ideas. Okay. The Moon. Someone here could definitely be afraid of something. Maybe they're afraid. If it's not you, it could be who you're dealing with, to take a leap of faith, to embrace change, to have a new start. Maybe somebody wants to offer somebody commitment, stability, but they're afraid, you know. Maybe something's going to be revealed to you. Maybe you're going to be finding out that you own money. Someone's definitely thinking about something, look. To take a leap of faith, you know, to send someone a message, to offer something to someone. There's a lot of thinking going on. Definitely dealing with a Cancer or a Pisces or a fellow fire sign or an Aquarius or an earth sign. Yeah. Someone could be stuck in this sort of frightened ego sort of thing, doubt, confusion, worry. You know, there's a lot of fears going on, isn't there? Because everyone's worried about the economy, you know, jobs, money, being made redundant, you know. Okay, 5 of Pentacles was sticking out. 7 of Wands, that could be your energy. Someone here could be being cold towards someone, you know, being cold with their words, leaving someone out in the cold. Maybe someone is afraid to offer something to someone or open up to someone from fear of being left out in the cold here. 7 of Wands, this could be your energy. Maybe you're standing your ground. Maybe you're defensive. Maybe you're protecting yourself. You're setting boundaries. Maybe you're feeling fed up being stuck at home. Okay, I think this came up last time, I'm sure. 6 of Cups. So it looks like somebody from your past wants to come back. They could have the traits of an earth sign. This could be you. Maybe you've got the traits of an earth sign. You're hanging on to your money, your assets. You know, I do believe that you're saying something better, please. You know, I think I picked this up last time as well. So it looks like someone's reminiscing about you, missing you. Nostalgia, could be soulmate energy connections here. So it's like someone from the past wants to come back, or you're thinking about something from the past, happier times, you know, childhood memories. Maybe you want to reconnect with someone from your childhood, you know, but I do feel this person might want to fight, you know. I think this is your energy. It's like someone from the past wants to come back, but there's fear of being left out in the cold, or they're being cold. It could be you. You know, maybe you're closed off, maybe you're leaving them out in the cold, you're standing your ground, you're setting boundaries, you don't trust them. 6 of Cups, maybe you miss happier times. Yeah, you're definitely dealing with a water sign, yeah. I feel somebody's going to come back and try and win you back. Fight for your affections. Someone from your past. This come up as well last time. This person really wants to talk to you. But I feel it's like you can't. I feel that you're both closed off at the moment. Yeah, this is your energy. Look, fire energy there. So you've got the Knight of Cups. So definitely dealing with a water sign from your past that wants to come back. Offer you love, offer you some sort of commitment, some sort of proposal here, something new. So they're thinking about it, okay? You know, make some sort of love proposal, love offer here. Love, commitment, stability even, you know. He's a bit of a daydreamer, he's quite poetical, very romantic, you know, Knight of Cups. He's unpredictable, he just pops up. This person can't really read you at the moment because you're very closed off, very hidden. You know, maybe they hid their feelings for a long time. They were harbouring their feelings for a long time, you know. But someone from your past, the water sign, definitely wants to come back here. Tell me more about this Knight of Cups. Tell me more about this Knight of Cups. Okay, any more on this Knight of 6 of Cups? Maybe in the past they didn't know what they wanted, you know. They were confused. You know, this could have been going on since the past, you know, the past person energy here. They were confused, they were indecisive, they didn't understand their feelings, they didn't know what was happening. I feel a sort of in and out sort of energy, you know. They could communicate a little bit and then run away again, keep leaving you out in the cold. Maybe that's why you're setting boundaries here. You're standing your ground, you're guarded, you're closed off. Because this person kept messing around and maybe they were acting immature sort of thing, you know. Yep, someone wants to reconcile here. Yeah, someone here wants to reconcile here. 2 of Cups. Yeah, someone from your past is going to try and come back and reconcile with you. Maybe they're afraid to take this leap of faith. The possibilities here are endless. Wow. There's definitely communication coming in from someone. Some sort of news. You know, it looks like it's going to be a very solid offer. And also it looks like they're still confused and trapped in frightened ego sort of thing about reaching out to you. I don't think they were always honest, this person, in the past especially. I don't think that they were always honest. They want to reconcile with you. Someone who is missing, you know, intimacy, passion, love. Some of you might want to get married, have kids, get engaged, you know. This person does have a lot of love for you, a lot of affection. They're very passionate about this connection. I feel that this has been going on for a while. They could have already tried to communicate with you, even a tiny bit, and then run away again, not saying who it is, you know. They won't reveal their identity because they're afraid. Someone's craving togetherness with you, you know. Could be twin flame connection here, could be soulmate. Okay, got the devil. Some of you could be dealing with a Capricorn. Someone's full of fear, that's what I feel here. You know, trapped in fear and worry and doubt. It's like they need to step out of their shadow self. You know, something's consuming them, controlling them. You know, negative thinking, bad cycles, you know, karmic cycles. And, you know, just like I said, step out of the shadow self sort of thing. They're letting fear consume them at the moment. Someone's definitely trapped in their own thoughts. Yeah. Tell me more about this devil. Tell me more about this devil. Anyone, this devil. Someone could have strong sexual desires towards someone. You know, as I said, frightened ego and stepping out of their shadow self, but I do feel, like I said, this could be sexual desires, you know. Someone could be craving someone sexually, you know. Someone could be quite protective of someone here as well, quite possessive. Like this devil. They are a bit of a daydreamer, I know that. You know, daydreamer. It's like they're drunk on love. Okay. Got the Empress. Yeah, someone's craving someone here, sexually. The Empress. Maybe they're around someone. It could be a mum. There's a toxic influence on them, or that is interfering with this connection. That's kind of what happened in the past. And it clouded this person's judgment. It affected the way they think. You know, I think this came out last time as well. The karmic person could be their mum interfering, you know. Okay. Maybe somebody's balancing more than one person here. Maybe they need to give birth to new ideas, you know. Step out of their shadow self, not be negative thinking. Maybe they're working on that, look, mastering that. This person might need to master self-control here as well, yeah. I feel this person hasn't got any self-control and they're mastering that. Strength, balance, you know, a new way of thinking, a new environment, a new way, a new life. You know, I feel this person doesn't have any self-control. So maybe you are busy working on your finances and your environment and routine and structure and, you know, mastering strength and balance for yourself. Yeah, you're definitely dealing with someone who is all over the place. It could be an old water sign, then it could be a new water sign, or they could be both of the same person. Okay, so we've got Page of Cups. He can be very immature, he can be childlike, emotionally distant, withdrawn, all over the place. Like I said, he is a bit of a daydreamer, all over the place. very indecisive about his feelings. Could be someone younger than you, could be you younger than them, you know, but there could be a new person coming in, okay? Could all be the same person, but there could be a new person coming in to make some sort of romantic offer, some sort of gesture, some sort of proposal, love offer here from this romantic Page of Cups. Someone here really likes to channel, or they're working on that, channel divine energy, you know. This person is giving you nothing at the moment, I feel. They're quite closed off and hidden. They're quite dry, you know. It's like they could be very in tune with their emotions within themselves, but when it comes to communicating, it's like they're a bit immature, a bit childish, a bit... Could all be the same person. What gets this person into trouble is being all over the place, the lack of honesty, the lack of maturity, you know. This person's quite a negative thinker. I think that they need to step out of their shadow self. I need more on this Empress. Hang on a minute. Can you tell me more about this Empress? Tell me more about this Empress and this level. Tell me more about this Empress and this Devil, please. Tell me more about this Empress and this Devil. Could be somebody that's ruled by their emotions, you know. Like I said, they need to step out of their shadow self, give themselves a bit of leeway, a bit of freedom. Someone here could be quite stubborn. It's like they won't surrender to something, you know. They're letting something control them, rule them, you know, overpower them, and it's like they haven't got any free will, you know. It's like, say if they go to give birth to new ideas, or they come up with some sort of creative and positive solution, it's like that frightened ego thing comes in and talks to them, you know. Is this some sort of, something is clouding their judgment, you know. This person is very, very, very ruled by frightened ego. That's what I feel here. Five of Swords. It's like they're not surrendering something, or they're not letting up, you know, with something. They're quite stubborn. Like I said, they're quite dry. Ooh, okay. So it's like maybe they're finally going to surrender to this connection, you know. Maybe that's what they're working on. Clear out all this confusion, all this worry, all this doubt, overpowered by their emotions, frightened ego, you know, stepping out of their shadow self, stop letting it control them so much, you know, and freeing themselves from all that. And some of them might want to start a new relationship with you, you know, reconnecting with someone from your past and then starting a new relationship, you know. It could all be the same person, but maybe they've matured and they don't want to be so dry with you anymore, so, you know, so cold, so immature, you know. This person could have been quite stubborn in the past, but with this Ace of Cups, maybe they're learning to be more in line with their emotions and communicate more. You know, Ace of Cups is about love and abundance and new relationships, you know, bonds, strengthening, you know. You know, they want to strengthen the bond, you know, but they definitely need to step out of this sort of arrogant, egotistical shadow self thing that they've got going on, you know, because it's overpowering them, you know, it's consuming them, it's controlling them, you know, and oh my goodness, my tripod is terrible. Oh, so sorry about that. Okay, so they definitely want to have a new start with you, plus you've got the Fool there as well. Okay, so they're going to stop being so stubborn and immature, clear all this fear and worry and doubt. I do feel that they do value you as a person. I think that they are hanging on to you quite tightly. Okay, it's like a powerful, strong bond. So some of you are definitely going to be starting a new relationship. And I feel that this person's hanging on to you very tightly. They want to offer you a gift. And there's a lot of thinking going on with the communication process here. Okay? It could be that this person wants to reach out, but they're full of fear and frightened ego, and that's what they're working on. Look, you know, they need to create some sort of balance, some sort of structure, some sort of mastering going on. You know, they're learning, you know, to not let ego and doubt and worry, you know, they need to free themselves, you know, remove themselves, step out of their shadow self here, okay, to be more mature and, you know, strong and powerful, you know. And it looks like they want to give you a gift. They are watching you. They are watching you on social media. They're in the sort of process of thinking, learning to get their words out, learning to communicate, you know, giving birth to new ideas. If there was a karmic person in the past, such as a mum or some sort of outside influence, they could be working on that, you know, being in control of their own life and not letting other people sort of dictate to them, you know, sort of, ouch, sort of control them. You know, they need to know that they are in control of their own life, sort of thing. So there is definitely someone from your past here, a water sign, that is coming back. This could be you, you know, if you're a divine feminine, this is your energy. She's very creative, she's passionate, she's confident, she's serene, loving, nurturing, you know, she's very in tune with her intuition, her spirituality. She's all about love, she's all about sexuality, embracing your sexuality. If there is more than one person involved, this person sort of, they need to master self-control. That's what I feel here, you know, because the Devil card is also about, you know, someone that could have addiction to sexual desires and things like that, and multiple lovers. And maybe that's why you stood your ground and set boundaries and closed your heart off, because you was tired of this person's sort of Casanova behaviour with multiple lovers all the time, and you was getting frustrated, and, you know, but this person does have a lot of love for you. I feel this is their heart space. I feel this person is ruled by frightened ego, but also what consumes them is emotions and feelings and passion, and they get overwhelmed, okay? They get overwhelmed with emotions, you know, and they can't cope, and then they run away. They're quite immature. As I said, it could all be the same person, or it could be a new person coming in. You could be dealing with two different water signs, but someone who definitely wants to start a new relationship with you, resurrecting of an old connection, such as a past person. Take the leap of faith, okay? So there is communication coming in from a water sign. They want to offer you commitment, stability, okay? It's a matter of, you know, sorting themselves out, getting them in a line with their emotions. They need some sort of self-control here, because they're all over the place. That's what I feel. This is very much their heart space. Look, yeah, I do feel this has got a lot of potential here to grow, this connection, okay? I do feel, if it's not you, it could be both of you, giving birth to new ideas every day, fighting off all this frightened ego, all this fear, getting rid of all this darkness, stepping out of their shadow self. They are hanging on to you very tightly. Also, in the past, I feel they were quite stubborn and they wouldn't step out of a comfort zone with this Four of Pentacles. They could have been obsessed with money, materialistic things, power. You know, this lockdown's put things in perspective. You know, people have had more time to think and gain perspective and gain momentum and, you know, and clarity and, you know, master things and learn self-control, and, you know, it really puts things in perspective for you, what's most important to you, what's closest to your heart, you know. And I do feel that you are dealing with someone who's younger than you, or you're younger than them. They're not letting go of you, they're holding on to you very tightly. They do value you as a person, they value this connection, okay? I think that they are craving intimacy with you. But like I said, there's a lot, they need to master self-control here. Something to do with sexual desires and frightened ego and letting something consume them. Like I said, step out of the shadows. And until they do that, I believe that you are just kind of sitting pretty, confident, beautiful, you know, powerful. You are giving birth to new ideas, stability, being creative, focused on your profit. You know, the Empress, like I said, sexuality, she's about giving birth to new ideas. But it could be the birth of a new relationship here as well, birth of a new project. You know, I do get a sense this person is quite stubborn. Okay, let me get some more Ace of Cups. Maybe they're coming back to tell you that they've changed, they've matured. They want something mature, something adult. You know, they don't want to act like a child anymore. You know, maybe that's what they're learning, to be more sort of mentally in control as well, in control of their own thoughts, because something here overpowers someone. Negative thinking, you know, it overpowers their thoughts, their judgment, their emotions, you know. They need to gain some sort of clarity within themselves as well. So it does look like this person won't hold back anymore. You could have had communication from them already. Ace of Swords, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Okay, their crown chakra could be activating. You know, they've gained perspective. You know, they can see straight now, nothing's clouding their judgment, so they're coming in with that sort of truth, banishing toxic things out of their life, you know, and sort of, you know, bringing clarity and truth to a situation. You know, this could be what you're yearning for, you know, a beautiful relationship, someone who's honest and open. You know, you could be standing in your power. You know, it's like people's lack of honesty frustrates you. You know, their lack of maturity, their, you know, they want to do the right thing here. They've got high regard for you. I know that with this Ace of Swords. You know, this is about setting boundaries and banishing things that aren't good for you as well. You know, but this connection really has a potential to grow here. Okay, so there's a lot of thinking going on here. Look, yeah, with this Page of Wands, sending you a message, communicating, coming in with this offer. Okay, but they are coming in with their sword of truth here. Okay, like I said, feeling inspired, feeling motivated. You know, eventually they will take that leap of faith. Okay, because Aces are all about new starts, new beginnings, out with the old, in with the new. You know, an honest, true, loving relationship. You know, should have kids with your person, could be married to your person. They might want to get married, have kids with you. Yeah, could be a very fertile time. Okay, because you've got the Empress there. Tell me more about this Ace of Swords. So they're definitely coming in and they're bringing light to the situation, okay? They're bringing light to the situation. They're being intuitively guided, okay? But they're going to step out of their shadow self, learn self-control, right? To maintain that and bring in some sort of love offer, some sort of stability, commitment. You know, like I said, it's really going to grow, this connection, this bond that you have with this person. So you've got the Hermit. So someone's going to be stepping out of the shadows, stepping out of their shadow self, coming out of isolation. You know, they've had a lot of time to think, to reflect. You know, so we've got the Hermit card. So some of you could be dealing with a Virgo, okay? So they are being intuitively guided towards the light. They're going to bring light to the situation. They're going to be sort of open and honest with you about their feelings. Okay, as I said, gaining clarity, gaining momentum, mental clarity here as well. Maybe in the past they weren't mentally competent, they weren't stable, they were mentally unstable, and they had to work on that, to master that, to maintain that, you know. With this Virgo card, like I said, they've come out of isolation, you know, they've had time to reflect, to gain clarity, to work on themselves, to listen to their own intuition, their own judgment, go within, seek all the power and the guidance and knowledge that they need, and figure out the best way to approach you and, you know, to approach the situation and, you know, to communicate. You know, even if it is a little bit slow, this person is going to communicate towards you, but unexpectedly, sort of out of the blue, you know, coming out of this hermit mode, coming up with a strategy, a creative plan, a creative way to approach you. Obviously, where you're standing strong and you're in your power and you're so elegant, you know, this Empress, maybe they feel a bit intimidated by you, you know? Maybe they feel that they're not good enough. Maybe they have to work on self-love. Yeah? I do feel this person is overwhelmed at the moment with emotions and love and passion for you. Okay? And that's what gets the better of them. But where we all had time to think and be at home and reflect, it helps you, you know, to gain all the answers and knowledge and guidance that you need. You have the power, you know. Everything that you seek is within you. It's all within you. Maybe that person, it took them a long time to come to the realization, you know, to have a reality check, get their words out. Yeah? Maybe they feel lonely at the moment. Maybe they're depressed. You know, they're restricted. They're tied down at home. Maybe it could be you. You've learnt to sort of go within, you know, go deep in, you know, to, you know, someone who's quite intellectual as well, you know. Swords are all about power and truth and, you know, boundaries. But someone who's quite intellectual as well, you know. They've really learnt a lot where they've had time to reflect, go within, go it alone. Someone could be embracing change, going on a spiritual journey, spiritual development, spiritual awakening. But there is definitely someone here stepping out of the shadows and frightened ego and bringing light to a situation. Yeah? It's like their crown chakra has been activated, you know. It's been brought to light. Something here is going to be brought to light. Yeah? Whether it be communication, whether it be good news about something. Okay? So I hope that was insightful. I hope it helps. I hope it resonates. Let me know in the comment section. If you're new, give me a like, give me a subscribe, join my channel. Yeah. Peace, love and blessings. Love you all. Mwah.